What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the January 13th episode of AEW Rampage. I was going to say Dynamite, I don't know why. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Give this video a thumbs up. Also, follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So, tonight's AEW Rampage, I will say, from top to bottom, this was a very good show. From beginning to end, it had nice fluidity. The Jarrett, was it what's his name? Paul Walter Hausen. That whole thing. It was like it wasn't too long. It wasn't too hokey or anything. It was just the right amount of time and just everything. Like just a lot of kudos to AEW, man. Ever since Full Gear, and I keep saying this on every AEW view, it just feels like they made the switch. There's momentum. There's just this, hey, this is where we're going. There's just so much going on that you're invested in that after you finish watching, you're like, man, I can't wait till next week. Man, I wonder what's going to happen here. I wonder what's going to happen there. And of course, the talk of the town, so to speak, is in the last 24 hours or so. Yeah, basically 24 hours. It was reported by CNBC and Berrien, which is the sister publication for the Wall Street Journal and the Dow Jones Company, that Shad Khan and Tony Khan are interested in purchasing. And then I believe a few articles later in the day, it was reported that they're interested in a merger and some type of role for Vince McMahon. That is very interesting. If that happens, of course, you have Comcast, you have Disney, you do have the private investment fund from Saudi. So it's a lot of competition, but man, if Shad Khan and Tony Khan somehow acquire WWE, man, that's going to be the biggest story in wrestling history, possibly ever. Just to think that someone, in the past 40 years, WWE has been a juggernaut. If you don't think, if there's no denying WWE has been a juggernaut. But to see that happen, if that does happen, that Tony Khan and Shad Khan acquire WWE and AEW merge, oh boy, that's going to be interesting. From a business standpoint, that's going to be really interesting because that's a whole structural sorting out that you got to do. That's like that's extensive, especially with what WWE has built and what they are and how they operate. It's very extensive, but also the wrestling side, like that opens up. I don't even want to, you can't even put it under Pandora's box. Like this opens up another planet of pro wrestling possibilities. And by that I mean, and I'm going to make a video about this whole thing, but it just opens up a whole planet of possibilities. And I don't know, we'll just see how this plays out. Of course, many business experts that know about whole, companies and corporations selling usually takes 3 to 6 months to take place. So let's say we're in January, so by March, April, or June, we're gonna get something. And like I said, if Tony Khan and Shad Khan are able to acquire WWE, wow. Wow. Like it's something. It's funny because fans have been kind of like mentioning that the past 4 years that AEW's been in existence, but it's like, that's never going to be a reality. But if that does happen, wow. But outside of that, like I said, tonight's AEW Rampage, man, this was a fun show. A lot of great action. Of course, this was filmed Wednesday after Dynamite in Los Angeles at the Kia Forum. And man, shout out to that LA crowd, man. They made both Dynamite and Rampage such watchable programming, watchable pro wrestling that is just like, wow, this is really fun to watch. Like, man, I am entered, like, for 1 hour, man, I can just sit back, relax, and just enjoy the different stories that are being told. And man, let me tell you, this main event, the street fight between Willow Nightingale and Ruby Soho versus Anna Jay and Ty Mello. And man, I hope Anna Jay is okay, because that bump, whoo, man, I haven't heard any reports or anything coming out of Dynamite as far as, if she's, like, what's her status, if she's injured or anything. But man, that bump was a tough one. But enough of me talking about how the show is. Let me get into the show. But before I do that, I'm going to give you guys the results. So you had Darby Allin defeat Juice Robinson. You had the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King, defeat Eddie Kingston and Ortiz. And in the main event, you had Willow Nightingale and Ruby Soho defeat Ty Mello and Anna Jay in a street fight. So that is the results for AEW Rampage, the January 13th episode. So the first match, Darby Allin, Juice Robinson. I didn't glance at it because I was in between taking notes, tweeting, and then I looked up and I seen his jacket on. So it still looks like he's representing the Bullet Club. That's very interesting to see where that goes. Of course, we know one of the leaders is potentially leaving New Japan and heading to the States. So we shall see what happens with that. But other than that, this was a fun match. This was a really good match. I love the pacing. I love the back and forth between Darby Allin and Juice Robinson. Man, shout out to Darby Allin. Like, he is one of the most underrated wrestlers in all of pro wrestling for this simple fact that his style, for some reason or another, it just meshes with any person he's in the ring with. Like, it is very fluid. I would say maybe it's because he's hanging around Sting, because Sting had a similar style where it just meshed with everybody he was in the ring with. Talk about in his prime, it just meshed with everyone. That it was just fluid. Like, you could tell stories. And mind you, backtracking during Sting's history, he fought Ric Flair, Great Muta, Cactus Jack, Vader, Jake the Snake Roberts, Rick Rude, Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, Vampiro, Lex Luger, Jeff Jarrett, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe. I believe he wrestled AJ Styles. All those different styles Sting has wrestled, and he had really good matches with those guys. So I guess Darby's taking a page out of Sting and applying it to his match. But man, this is a really good match. So later on in the match, towards the end of the match, you had a code red by Darby Allin, which was freaking crazy. You had a lariat off the top rope by Juice Robinson as Darby Allin was on the top rope. Nice lariat by Juice Robinson. Then you had a Scorpion Death Drop counter from the freaking top rope, which led to Darby Allin doing the coffin drop, gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. That was it. Man, Darby Allin it's good to see him with the TNT Championship. I would say after Cody Rhodes and Miro, he has had a very great run as TNT Champion. Like, those three are probably had the greatest runs with the TNT Championship. Of course, Brody Lee is up there, before his unfortunate passing. Like, he had a really good run. Like, he was a great TNT Champion. It's unfortunate because, man, there was so much like, ooh, man, he could go here. It's like, oh, man, this is going to be so good. But yeah, Darby Allin is TNT Champion. This was good. I'm really interested to see who his next opponent is going to be for the TNT Championship. I believe I don't think they mentioned it. It might be on Rampage next week. I think they announced it or something like that. But man, it's just a joy to watch them. And this was a great opening match to start. They didn't have any entrances or anything. They were in a ring, so it was just right away, getting right to the action. And I think I like that strategy because it it shows that they're self-aware that they're getting the percentage of fans that are switching from SmackDown to Rampage. So why would you have an entrance, coming out unless it's something, really, really big, and it's not a knock at Juice Robinson or Darby Allin, but no, it's just they've done it before, but it's just, hey, you know what? We got this momentum with what we're doing in AEW since Full Gear. You know what? Boom. Let's go straight to the match. Boom. Of course, John Oxley, they'll have him come on an interest, but I know the last time they didn't have him with an interest. So maybe that's something new that they're doing. They're just like, you know what? We're getting straight to the action. Like, yeah, you can have the interest. No, we'll get straight to the action. So I like that strategy because it just right away you're like, all right, cool. I got a match start, man. Let me get in here. Instead of just, oh, I got enough time to go here to the kitchen, get a sandwich, or let me text this person. It's like, oh, okay, then I'll watch. Like it forces you to watch right away. Then we get a video of Powerhouse Hobbs. He mentions, the Book of Hobbs and that he is going to spread hurt to everyone in AEW. So that is going to be interesting how Powerhouse Hobbs comes back and just beats the hell out of everyone in AEW and just destroys them. Like that is going to be fun, and just how he's going to be utilized. I know for a fact that I would not be surprised. Let me phrase that. I would not be surprised if he is Darby Allin's first challenge. Next challenge, very soon. That would be pretty cool. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Powerhouse Hobbs is a TNT champion in 2023. Like he had so much momentum before he lost in the triple threat between Samoa Joe and Wardlow. I don't feel he's lost it. I think with AEW and that whole aspect, and I know people are like, oh, they take people off TV too long and everything, but you got to understand this side. Like if you have people constantly there every week, that over time you get so used to them, they kind of lose the uniqueness and a special attraction about them. Where it's just like, okay, it's good to have them on consistently, but then you kind of take them off for a little bit, and then you bring them back. There's a fine line between that. But no, I'm looking forward to it. So from there, we get the Acclaim coming out. Max Caster, he mentions Gavin Newsom, Joe Biden, Blood Money, and the Walk of Fame. That was a pretty cool rap. Like it's cool because the crowd is into it, and what adds to it is the commentary team is into it because they keep looking. All right, and after he finishes his line, it's like, oh, that was a good one, man. He's got some good stuff, man. Taz always mentions, I enjoy this. I'm enjoying the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn. It feels like Billy Gunn is he's reliving some days as the days when he was in DX a little bit through the Acclaim. He's like living vicariously through them. It's like, it's so, man, you just get that enthusiasm, that fun, and just like, all right, we're connecting with the audience. It's just so much fun to watch. So you got the Old Scissor Me Daddy chants. Anthony Bowens mentions, I'm here at the Mecca of Pro Wrestling, AEW. I will say this, with those lines, pay attention. That's all. Pay attention. Adam Cole mentioned on Wednesday, the best pro wrestling company in the world, AEW. Then you had this line. Pay attention to that. And by that, I mean, the way they're saying it, for me, it doesn't come across as if it's a shot at WWE. It feels more of, we're going to be a leader in professional wrestling. And if you watch this review and everything, I know people comment, "Oh, they're not buying WB or anything." That's two. That's two shows that AEW has dropped that line with two different wrestlers. Pay attention to that line. If it keeps being mentioned more than once, pay attention to it. Little thing, pay attention. Mark my words. Remember this review. Pay attention to it. So you have that line. The Guns, Colton and Austin Gunn, they come out. Colton's like, "Oh, this bum ass city, Los Angeles, and everything," and Austin's like, "The only reason you're popular is because you stole our dad," which I found hilarious. And then they excuse the Acclaim get away, and mind you, they're there because they wanted to, or they were going to do their signature uh, scissor hand sign in the wet cement for the Walk of Fame, but of course the Guns interrupted, and so the Guns are looking to put their signature on there, and Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, they pull down their pants and then they throw them in the wet cement, and they're just, "Oh my god!" And you got Billy Gunn, he's laughing and all that other stuff, and it was a pretty cool segment of the way it wasn't too long, it wasn't too short, it wasn't too hokey, it got right to the point, and man, AEW, I don't know how they've been able to do this, but man, to see the growth of the Acclaimed in AEW, man, it is so cool. Those type of growth in professional wrestling, to see wrestlers grow and get that reaction from the crowd, like, it reminds you of like the late 90s during the Monday Night Wars when you had the Hardys, Edge and Christian, the New Age Outlaws, how they were two, Road Dogg was Jeff Jarrett's roadie and Billy Gunn was Rockabilly with Honky Tonk Man, and they go from that in 1 year to being one of the top popular tag teams in WWE. Mind you, that was in 1 year. So it's so cool to see the Acclaim do this. So from there, we get a backstage segment with Swerve Strickland. He's with Quincy Combs and Sean P. Diddy, Puffy Combs' son. So yeah, he's with Puff Daddy's sons there with Mogul Affiliates, and he's talking about what he's gonna do, and I did what I did, but keep an eye on what I'm gonna do. I love this presentation. I like that maybe they talked to Parker Bordeaux to stop being so Brock Lesnar cosplay. Oh, yeah, like he just flashes the chain, and the other guy they're already big and impressive. Like, you're already like, man, who are those guys? That's all they have to do. They don't have to do anything else but just beat the hell out of people and just no manner, just that's it. So then we get the match between the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King, versus Eddie Kingston, and Ortiz. This whole match was basically the strife between Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. Ortiz, he's trying to work with Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's blowing him off. Eddie Kingston gets in the ring. Ortiz is asking, to tag him in. He's ignoring him. There was a cool spot where, when Malachi Black and Eddie Kingston were wrestling, and Eddie Kingston, he got into, man, what was it? Yeah, they were going back and forth, and Eddie Kingston just sat, and he has his head like this, and Malachi Black looks at him, and then they sit, and they're both looking at each other, and they go to picture in picture, and I'm like, oh man, this is cool. And I love the chemistry between Eddie Kingston and Malachi Black. I can't remember if they've wrestled before, but man, I hope they wrestle again, because man, that was so cool. And man, you could tell Malachi Black is in shape. Like, he was always in shape, but like, man, you could tell he got himself the time off. Like, he really got in shape, and just the quickness, the time, like everything about his move sets and just how he's executing them. Man, it's it is a work of art seeing that. So you had that. Then there was an enziguri by Eddie Kingston. Then there was a point where Ortiz and Eddie Kingston, they did a DDT and German suplex on Malachi Black. Then again, like I said, Eddie Kingston refused to have Ortiz or tag Ortiz. Malachi Black later on knees Ortiz as he's jumping off the coming in to save Eddie Kingston. That allows, as that happens, Buddy Matthews comes down to the ring with Julia Hart as he slot. Man, this was beautifully done and shot well. As he comes into the ring and as he slides in with the chair, Eddie Kingston is standing there, and Eddie Kingston steps on the chair, and you see Buddy Matthews just looks up. And it's like, ooh, man, that's very good. Great camera work, man. And he picks up the chair, and he's about to hit Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston grabs the chair, and then Julia Hart, looks at him, and, she turns him around, and he's about to hit Julia Hart. And then Ortiz stops like, yo, you about to hit a woman? Like, what? And then that allows Malachi Black to execute a Fisherman Buster. 1, 2, 3. They win. And Ortiz is outside in the ring. And again, there's this whole commotion. And as Malachi Black was pinning Eddie Kingston, Buddy Matthews has Ortiz in his chokehold. Malachi Black gets out and he looks at him like, you did good. You did good. Throw him in a ring. They throw him in a ring, and you got Eddie Kingston and Ortiz just, beat down. And Malachi Black and the House of Black, they're walking to the back like, man, this is pretty cool. I just want to see the House of Black versus the Elite. People have been wanting it. People want it. Please, AEW, let it be. Please let the House of Black and the Elite happen. I think it's going to happen at Revolution, which that'll be so dope. Probably going to get MJF and Bryan Danielson, which is going to be even more dope. So, man, I'm looking forward to that. After that match, you had a post-match or backstage segment with Jade Cargill with Layla Gray. And I believe it was Rene Dupree's like, oh, well, the interviewer, forgive me, guys. The interviewer asked Jade Cargill, so what about Red Velvet? And Jade Cargill's like, who? What? Nah, she's just jealous of Layla Gray. Layla Gray has stepped up, this, and she's basically pushing Layla Gray. And she's like, I'm just focused on my 50th win. This is good. Maybe, just maybe, I do think Red Velvet is the one to break Jade's undefeated streak. I know many people want Mercedes Moné to do it, including me. I would love that in a perfect world. That would be dope, but we don't know Mercedes Moné's contract situation with New Japan Pro Wrestling and how that will work out. Of course, she announced that she's going to be in the movie, so we don't know how all this is going to play out with that, but it's going to be fun. Red Velvet has come back with a different attitude in the ring, just on fire, just a feistiness, aggressiveness, a physicality that's just like, damn, she is someone to be reckoned with. So we shall see what happens with this Jade Cargill Red Velvet storyline. From there, we get Rene Dupree with Paul Walter Hausen. If you don't know who he is, he was in the Cobra Kai series, and of course he was the one that was singing Judas in My Mind, and during one of the fight scenes, get the tables, that reference and everything. So he's cool. He has the Golden Globe, and he mentioned a line. Mind you, pay attention to these lines. And another reason why I say pay attention to these lines that are being mentioned in AEW as far as the best wrestling promotion in the world, the Mecca of Pro Wrestling, AEW, This line, he mentioned, I passed by Connecticut to go to Jacksonville. Like, pay attention to those lines. Like, a lot of those lines, and I know most fans, they're digging at a WWE. Like, they're taking a dig. No, it could be a subtle tease. And I don't want to say tease. A subtle preparation. I'll leave it at that. A subtle preparation for what might be happening within this year. If you guys know what I mean, you know what I'm getting at. Pay attention to that. So he mentions that Danhausen comes out, and then he's like, and you know Danhausen's gimmick is taking stuff, so he's like, you should give me that Golden Globe. So as he mentioned that, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh come to the ring. Man, the best line of the night. Man, Jeff Jarrett's always been the receiving end of some crazy, funny lines. Paul Walterhausen tells Jeff Jarrett, you look like a woman who owns a Crunch Fitness. Damn, that was a good line. And I want to backtrack a little bit. So Paul Walterhausen, he mentioned how he's a huge wrestling fan, and he's like, if I wasn't in acting, I would be doing this, and really cool. And you could tell he was really genuine and authentic with expressing his fandom and everything. But man, him on the mic, like, he did very good for, like, he actually did better than Rick Ross, which I don't blame Rick Ross. That should have just been done a little bit better, but he did really good talking on a mic. Then unfortunately, they attack him, and Jeff Jarrett winds up hitting him with a guitar, and that was another dig. He's like, you walk around with a guitar, but you don't know how to play it. Like, huh? So yeah, they start beating up, and they're about to hit Danhausen with the Golden Globe. Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends come in and make the save. Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal, they walk away with the Golden Globe. And we go to commercial. We come back, and they have a video package hyping up the main event. Willow Nightingale, Ruby Soho, Anna Jay, and Ty Mello. Now, this was interesting because usually we know on Rampage, they'll play a video package, then you have the wrestlers talking, and then you have Mark Henry. It's time for the main event. That wasn't the case. You had the video package, and then Mark Henry's like, well, we see there's been enough talk. It's time for the main event. So it was like, I really like the presentation that they had Mark Henry do. It was behind I believe the backstage area with the LED screen. Like, I really like that. Like, I really like AEW's presentation that they have since they've the start of the new year. Like, this is a really great upgrade to their presentation, and it just adds more of a, hey, take AEW serious. Like, this isn't just a mom and pop shop or whatever perceptions that people had as far as it's just Bush League or what have you. Like, no, you got to take this serious. Like, AEW is doing some serious things that you need to take notice of, because over time, like, this is going to get even bigger. Now, this Willow Nightingale, Ruby Soho, Anna Jay, Ty Mello match. This exceeded my expectations. Now, I remember last year, the Penelope Ford, Bunny versus Ty Mello and Anna Jay street fight, which was, man, that was a crazy match, but that was overshadowed by a certain tweet that was tweeted out last year, which is insane that in one calendar year, the whole wrestling world has done a 180 since then. And AEW has done a 180 since then. But yeah, this match exceeded my expectations. I did not anticipate this much physicality. I did not anticipate Willow Nightingale doing a powerbomb through a table off the stage, which she went more through the stage than Anna Jay. Anna Jay landed on the floor. I hope she's okay. it would be a miracle if she walked away without a concussion, because that was a nasty landing. I will say she landed flat, so it wasn't like any weird, like it was just flat. So man, I hope she's okay. I hope it isn't anything um, that Matt Hardy suffered when his incident at All Out 2020. But man, that was a nasty um, spot. The spot where Ty Mello uh, did a pile driver on Ruby Soho through a table at ringside. That was crazy. And also, Ruby Soho, oh my goodness, was she busted open on her forehead, man. Like, the amount of blood that was coming off her face, like, wow. Like, wow. Certain parts of this match, it was kind of clunky, but not to the extent where it's just like, oh my God, like, come on, really? Like, it was just the way, I think it was the way they shot it. And kudos to, I think, Mike Mansory is his name. Like, kudos to him. Like, that was pretty cool transition. It was kind of late on a few spots, but other than that, man, this was a great spot. Great shooting. Another cool spot was when all the women were sitting in the chair doing a picture-in-picture, and they were just clubbed, like forearm strikes, just back and forth. That was really cool, and the crowd was into it. The crowd was into this women's match from the jump, and it was just a lot of things you didn't anticipate happen. Backtracking a little bit, the way the match started. You know, Anna Jay and Ty Mello, they come out, and freaking Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale just come in and just attack them from behind, and Willow Nightingale has a hockey stick, and she just bam hits. Like, it was, the amount of physicality exceeded my expectations. Where it's just like, whoa, this, I did not see this. Like, of course, with Willow Nightingale, because you know she's very hey, how's it go? You know, a happy-go-lucky character, but you wouldn't anticipate this much physicality she would do in a match. She did the running cannonball on Anna Jay through with a garbage can in front of her. Like, oh, like there was a lot of great stuff. The tie with the pile driver to the table, like I mentioned before, the thumbtack spot where Ty Mello sprinkled the thumbtacks on the floor, and our Ruby Soho countered it and did the destination finisher on the thumbtacks, pinned her 1, 2, 3. That was the match. That was an amazing match. Kudos to them. Like, that, for me personally, that was the match of the night. That was an insane match. I did not anticipate that much physicality, but man, that was fun. And man, it was supposedly the end of that feud. We shall see. Again, there's a lot of cool things happening within the women's division. Of course, unfortunately, on Wednesday was kind of a letdown with the whole Mercedes Moné not being there just yet. I personally think eventually she will be there, but she will be there as the IWGP Women's Champion, which I think that's a better way to do it. But other than that, man, the women's division is really clicking, and there's a lot of good momentum in that division, which has been lacking for a long time, but really cool. But man, overall, this episode of AEW AEW Rampage was fun. It was fun. It was a nice complimentary alternative to SmackDown. If you watched SmackDown and you tuned into Rampage, it was a nice complimentary alternative, and it just flowed. It was cool. It was fun. It was like, wow, 1 hour. Saw Darby Allin, Jade Cargill, the Acclaimed, the women's match. What was the other match? Forgive me, guys. I saw the House of Black. They won. So it's like people that you want to see in AEW, you saw them within an hour. Nice time and everything. So it was really cool. I had no issue with it. See what happens next week on Dynamite. I believe we're getting Bryan Danielson and Bandito. That, I would not be surprised if that, man, That's either starting Dynamite or that's main eventing Dynamite. But that is going to be a great match to watch. I am going to enjoy that. So, other than that, that is my review for AEW Rampage, January 13th. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification so that you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Give this video a thumbs up. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. With that, folks, man, let's just have some fun. We'll see what happens with the sale with WB, and we'll see what happens if Shad Khan and Tony Khan purchase WB. Like, that'll be wild, but again, they're in a pool of potential buyers, so we shall see. But man, other than that, let's just have fun watching pro wrestling. There's a lot of pro wrestling going on. We still have Mercedes Moné and Kari February 8th in the Battle of the Valley, so we got a lot of stuff to look forward to. So with that,